pull it up on my YouTube thing, make sure everything's working. Seems like connection is good. Last time it was pretty slow for some reason, so seems like it's working. All right, it looks like we're live. So, Otangelo, thanks for coming on and having a conversation with me. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yes, thank you. I am an intelligent design proponent. I am a Christian and I study much about biochemistry, evolution, origins in general, philosophy, theology, um, physics, astrophysics, origin of the universe, origin of life, um, what are the real mechanisms of evolution, and so forth. And in my understanding, one of the foremost and best topics to elucidate origins is the origin of life, abiogenesis. And I've seen some of your uh, videos on your channel, and I've seen that you did not have many interactions with people that focus on the teleological argument and origins of life. So I've seen you talk to Fazale Rana, to Kent Hovind, and I suppose maybe a few others, but not many. So I think it would be an interesting topic to talk a little bit about the origin of life. What do you think?
Sure, why not? So you think the origin of life is indicative of God's existence? Is that right?
Yes, yes. As far as I've seen that you propose materialistic pantheism, which is basically materialism. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
So basically, what we discuss is two opposing worldviews. One is a worldview without God, so basically, one is with God, and we can define God as the creator, a conscient, intelligent being that is eternal and that created the universe and everything in it. And as far as I understood, you think that intelligence is not necessary or eventually equally a valid explanation of origins as a conscient, intelligent creator. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. You don't need it at all.
Yeah. So I think we could start from this. And I think the key issue and difference between what you think and what I believe is that I think that intelligence is absolutely necessary. And so what we
Okay,
could
how?
elucidate,
Why would intelligence be necessary?
well, before that we come to this question, maybe we should try to figure out what are what is the signature and what are things that only intelligence can do and
Wait, stop
which
right there. So, you can't ever say only intelligence can do. That's begging the question. So it's just that's not an option. You can say we only know of intelligent ways can do it, but you can't ever say it's only possible to be done by intelligence.
well, we can work from experience.
That's inductive. So you cannot say it cannot be done by intelligence. That's just intellectually dishonest.
I said maybe we could not say that in an absolute term, but we could say it from what we know of. We can work from experience.
Yeah, we can say we only know of ways to do it. We can't say it's absolute. That's right.
Okay, I would go with that. So I will give you a small list, and then you can tell me if you agree that these things can only uh, or best be explained by intelligent actions.
Sure, go for it. You still there?
Yeah, just a moment. Okay. A mental plan or scheme for accomplishing a goal, an underlying scheme that governs functioning, developing, or unfolding pattern and motive. An object in nature very similar to human-made things, something made based on
Okay, none of that actually
mathematical
makes sense.
principles.
Stop. So when you say scheme, a scheme by definition is just something done by a mind. So that's again circular. So that's not an example you could use.
Okay, I will give you the list which I recognize as usually attributed to intelligent action. Is that okay?
Okay.
And if you disagree, we can talk on that. An object in nature very similar to human-made things,
Well,
something made.
wait. So you can't say this is something we know is human made and then say in the definition this is human made things. Again, that's circular. So you can't use that either. That's a garbage example. You have to like pick actual examples.
Well, I will give you the list, and then we can maybe stick just on one of them.
Well, no,
Okay?
because you haven't given me any yet. You just given your own
Yeah, I
circular
would just.
definition.
I will give you the list which I have.
I'm going to continue
and
to
then
show you what.
maybe.
If they don't work, I'm just going to say that doesn't work and just say cross that one off, and then you can just go to the next one.
Okay. Something made based on mathematical principles.
If it's made based off of mathematical principles, to be made again is circular. So that's not an example either. What's next?
Well, the contrary would be that chance has the ability to.
No. That's not the point. If you say again, the question we're asking is what are things that are we know are most likely made by humans? And in the definition, if you say made based off of mathematical principles, I mean, again, it's circular. You're using the conclusion in the example. You can't do that. That's not how examples work.
Okay, let me give you the list, and then we will.
Again, I'm going to keep pointing
one.
them out. If they're crap examples, I'm just going to tell you why they objectively fail, and you can go to the next one.
Okay.
So what's the next one?
Something purposefully made for
again,
specific
purposely
goals.
made circular reasoning doesn't work as an example. What's next?
Specified complexity, the
Isn't
instructional
specified
blueprint,
complexity is made
or
up.
I would like to stick on that one. Is that okay? Specified complexity,
sure, go for it.
The instructional blueprint, or a codified message.
There is no such thing as specified complexity. It's made up by Behe and Dembski, and it's not recognized as an actual property in the biology or chemistry or mathematics or anything. It's just made up nonsense. It's like if I said the property of gobbledygook indicates that the spaghetti monster is real. I mean, like, no one accepts this property. I just made it up off the top of my head, and that's specified complexity. It's just made up. There's no scientific basis for it.
Okay, I'm a machine designer.
Okay.
Let's suppose that we go to a place, and there you have a drawing table, and you have there ink and paper on the one side, and on the other side you have the same. And then someone would tell you, I need you to design, to project machines and a factory for specific purposes.
Okay.
Now you have two options. One is that you contract a machine designer, me, for example, and tell him, I want that machine and that factory for that purpose. And then on the other side, you have just the ink and the paper. And now someone asks you, what do you think is the more capable agency?
What does this have to do with specified complexity? Specified complexity is a specific mathematical assertion made by Dembski and Behe. Like, it's not like things are designed. That's not what specified complexity means. Specified complexity is a particular hypothesis.
Okay, I think it would be easier if we would just talk about blueprints or a drawing with all the instructions and measures
Okay,
which instruct.
skip. I know what a blueprint is, and I accept blueprints are made by humans. So skip to how that has anything to do with DNA.
Well, I think it has to do with DNA
Obviously,
because
but
DNA.
why?
What is okay? What is the function of the information stored in DNA?
The same as the function of the information stored in a salt crystal. Information is not human-made. Information is a property of matter. So information doesn't help you.
Well, I disagree
But you don't
completely
get an
because
opinion on it. You can just Google the definition of information in physics. Information is in everything. So next.
now we are talking about information in biological systems.
Information is a product of entropy and Shannon information theory. It has nothing to do. It's the same in physics and biology. It doesn't help you if you just say it's information in biology. So in all fields of science, information is a property of matter. It has nothing to do with the mind.
Again, I gave you the example of two possible agents to make a
Okay, but that doesn't
blueprint for
tell you
making.
anything. So again, what are you talking? How does this relate to anything?
We will come to it.
You start with the conclusion. Start with your argument, not just a bunch of examples. Your argument is what, and then here's an example to support your argument.
Okay. The origin of blueprints containing the instructional complex information and the fabrication of complex machines and interlinked factories based on these instructions, which produce goods for specific purposes, are both always the result of intelligent setup. 2. Living
Okay, well, we can
cells
prove that
store.
false. We can prove that false immediately because RNA is made on clay, and that does every one of those things that you just said, and they're not produced by humans at all. They're just produced on clay as a natural process. So we can prove that false immediately.
Well, you talked about the storage medium of information.
What?
RNA
No, no,
is
no.
one of.
The RNA is made on clay and organized into an informational pattern that is self-replicating and that all happens without any human intervention at all. So your definition can be proven false immediately because we have examples that show that does not happen. And those can be made without any intervention by humans at all. So no, there are informational processes which are designed and have purposes that are completely undone by humans at all, or intelligences at all. It's just made on clay.
Okay, we have to do a distinction between the software and the hardware.
No.
RNA.
Both the software and the hardware are done on clay by RNA without any human intervention. So there's both of them. There's no distinction there. They're both done by just natural processes, both the software and the hardware.
Well, that is your assertion,
Well,
and
no,
I will
we
show.
can demonstrate that. We've objectively seen it. There's no assertion there. That's scientific proof. We've done it.
Okay, what the proposal is that clay supposedly does is interlinking the phosphate of RNA,
Phosphate.
the monomer, the phosphate monomer of RNA, to the second phosphate of the second, and supposedly you can make a polymer by that clay reaction. But before you can do that, you need the RNA monomers.
No, you only need the building blocks. The building blocks can just be in there, but they're organized on their own by the clay. The organization in the clay causes the organization of the information. It has nothing to do with any human design at all. None. There's no,
Well, what
no
you
human
need,
intervention.
okay, what you need are the RNAs first
No,
before you
no, no, no,
can.
no, no, no. Stop. No, you get the RNA from the clay and the stuff that's been placed inside of it. It doesn't exist prior to that. There's no pre-existing RNA in the RNA experiment. RNA comes from the clay. It forms the monomers and the polymers on the clay to build RNA, which then can self-reproduce and has organizational information in it. It has nothing to do with humans. You don't start with the RNA. That would defeat the entire point of the experiment.
Well, what you need first are RNA monomers.
No. Again, no. It's RNA is not existent until the experiment is done. You don't start with the RNA and then do an experiment to make RNA. That makes no sense. So again, all of that you just said, we have proven objectively false. We know for a fact that things with information and design and that can create other things and self-replicate can be made purely by natural processes. There's no mind required there at all. We can objectively verify that. We can demonstrate it in a lab.
Well, before you can have the information stored in RNA, you need the RNA monomers, and
No,
then you need.
I've ended that. That topic is done. Like, no, we have the RNA being made from nothing, just purely naturalistic processes, no human intervention. It's done. So you don't get to argue with that. That's proved. We've proven that. That's done. We can demonstrate it. We've done it in the lab. It's over.
Well, I disagree with you.
I
I
don't
disagree
care.
with
It
you.
doesn't matter if you disagree or not. We've objectively done it in the lab.
Well, well, I don't think we should jump from one topic to another,
We're not. We're
but
not.
just
This is
say,
what you said was an informational process, something that was designed for a purpose that can make things, can only be done by a human mind. We know that is objectively false. We've done it in the lab. We see RNA being made on clay, which can organize in that way without any human intervention and be designed to do things and self-replicate without any human intervention. We know that it's false.
okay,
It's like we
what is
can
RNA? What is RNA composed of?
molecules.
Well, RNA is composed of three components. Do you know which ones?
I used to, not anymore.
Okay, you need the bases, the ribose, and the phosphate.
Again, what is your point here? So again, we've demonstrated this isn't even up for debate. We've done this. It's over. You don't. There's no human intervention here. You don't get to argue this. You don't get to debate
I
with the
think,
analysis. It's done.
Tom, I think this is a very crucial
I'm sure you
issue.
do, but I don't care because it's been done in a lab. Like, I mean, it's done. It's over. That topic is over. Like, we've done it in a lab.
Where is the proof? I don't know about the science paper that demonstrates that. Do you have any evidence of this?
Yes, we've done it in a lab. Like, we've literally done it. So I don't. I mean, I don't.
Well, you just assert it, but where is the evidence?
You can
Because I
Google
made a whole
RNA on clay.
I
Just Google RNA on clay. Done. Like, you can find it in 5
I
seconds.
made a whole video. I
I
made
don't care
actually
what
two
videos you made. This is scientifically demonstrated by peer-reviewed work. Like, your papers and what you object to don't matter. Like, the scientists don't care about your objections. If you think your objections are a valid rebuttal, then go publish them in an academic journal. Like, you don't get to try and
videos.
refute scientific papers by just saying so in
Tom,
in
Tom,
your site.
I have seen you doing this over and over. You make assertions without backing them up,
I
and
don't
I
care.
would
Again,
like.
no, this is backed up by science. This is really common knowledge. I don't need to provide the paper for you. RNA on K is like super common knowledge. Like, I don't need to back it up. It's already common knowledge. Just Google
I
RNA on K.
am Tom. I am trying to explain to you things which you already admitted that you don't know. I asked you,
No. I
what
don't
is
care. I
our
don't need to know. This is scientific research. If you want to object to the scientific research, go publish it in a scientific paper. Nothing you could say is ever going to convince me of anything on this. You have to go object to the scientist. Go convince the scientist they're wrong, and then I'll listen to you. But I'm not going to take it up. I don't care.
Well, I mean, if you don't care about the scientific
No. I do
evidence,
care
which
about the
are
science, but you have no qualifications in it. You're just making shit up. If you want to object to the scientists and show that their work is wrong, you have to go do it in a scientific paper. You don't get to argue against them from here. From an armchair philosophy, it doesn't work. Science is done in a lab. If you want to object to the RNA on clay hypothesis that's been demonstrated in a lab, you have to go question it in a lab. Like, none of your objections here mean anything. They're not valid.
would you like to explain to you what you
No. I don't care.
seemingly
This
don't
is science. So
understand?
this science can only be questioned in a lab. Since this has been proven scientifically, you have to go do it in the lab and publish it in a scientific journal, or else your objections mean nothing. So science is like ironclad. We've done this. So if you want to object to it, go prove it in the lab somewhere.
Well, it's difficult to discuss with you a subject if you refuse to discuss it.
Well, no. You
And you
don't. This
just say,
isn't something you
you
get to
just, you
discuss.
just, you just say, well, it has been proven, and I disagree with you.
I don't
And
care.
on good, and yes, but well,
You don't get to
if you
disagree with
don't care,
science. You don't get to disagree with science. Science has already been demonstrated in a lab. So if you want to object to the science, you have to go prove it in a lab. Like, none of your
okay,
objections or your interpretations are relevant.
okay. Has the origin of life been demonstrated to be possible without guidance in the lab?
Um, That would, if it's been demonstrated, it wouldn't be possible. We've already done it.
Have we produced life in the lab?
No. Well,
So,
maybe not, because we don't have a concrete definition of life. If you count the RNA as life, then yes. If you're asking for like an actual cell, reproducing cell, then no.
so how long is science trying to do this?
Long time.
Long time. Why do you think they have not been successful?
Because we haven't found the right combination yet. Like the time doesn't have anything to do with the success. Like, what is it? Thomas Edison, who said he tried 10,000 ways to make a light bulb that failed before he made one. Like, doesn't matter how long we fail. That isn't evidence that can't be done at all.
So basically, materialism of the gaps.
No, there's no such thing as materialism of the gaps. It's just induction. So, like, if you
Based
have,
on what? Based on what do you induce that life from non-life unguided is possible?
well, actually, that's not based off induction. That's based off of testable predictions. But, like you said, naturalism of the gaps. In a God of the gaps argument is when you have like white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, and then say, well, the next one will be black because we don't have an example of the white goose. But if you say the next goose is going to be white, that isn't a white goose of the gaps. That's just induction because all the previous ones have been white. So in the case of naturalism, we've always had natural explanation, natural explanation, natural explanation. There's no naturalism of the gaps.
It's we don't. We don't have a natural explanation.
No. We're talking about just everything in reality we've ever discovered throughout any scientific method. They've all been natural explanations. So because everything has always been a natural explanation.
Hypotheses, they are not.
No. I'm not talking about life here. I'm talking about everything we've ever discovered in science. So everything we've ever discovered: electricity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear force, gravity, the shape of the globe. Everything has all been natural explanation. So because of everything we've ever discovered has a natural explanation so far.
You make just things up.
No, that's all objectively proven. Again, all of that is just natural stuff. How is the world circular? Because of gravity. What is the explanation of gravity?
Well, the question is not if it's natural. The question is, how did it come to be? And one of the very important
doesn't matter. Otangelo, that doesn't matter. Again, so the argument here is we've discovered a lot of things. A lot of the things and every single one of them has a natural explanation only. What is gravity? It's curving in space-time. Is it supernatural? No, it's just natural. Now, we don't know what created the universe, but we don't need to. That's irrelevant. We just have to know that the part we've discovered is natural. So all of the discoveries we've ever made are natural. Therefore, it's reasonable to conclude the next discovery we're going to make is also natural.
But we don't have to discover what is natural. We have to discover how it actually came to exist.
No, we don't, Otangelo. We only have to discover one thing. I can go discover, if there's a cup that fell over like 5 feet away from me and I discover it was done by a squirrel, that's a natural explanation. I don't need to know where the squirrel came from. I only need to know that the squirrel knocked it over and the squirrel's not supernatural.
Well, one thing we have already elucidated. Science has not demonstrated nor given any evidence or a reasonable explanation how life could have started from non-life.
Okay, we haven't gotten there yet. So the first argument I'm making is that there is no such thing as naturalism of the gaps. The reason there is no such thing as naturalism of the gaps is because it's induction. Like if you see white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, and you say the next one's going to be black, that is a black goose of the gaps because there's no examples of a black goose. And then you assume the next one's going to be stop. So wait. But if you claim the next goose is going to be white, that isn't a white goose of the gaps. There's no problem with that. It's completely reasonable to say the next one's going to be white. That's just induction. So in the natural sciences, everything we've discovered is natural. And so when we say, what knocked over the cup? It was a squirrel. That's a natural explanation. And everything we've ever discovered has always been a natural explanation. The next thing we don't know yet, the things we haven't discovered yet, it's reasonable to assume they're going to be natural because all the previous ones have all been natural, just like the white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose. The next goose is going to be white. That is not a naturalism of the gaps. That is just induction. It's only a fallacious argument to say a new thing, to insert something that's never been discovered, like the supernatural or a god. That's a god of the gaps. But there's no such thing as naturalism of the gaps because we've already discovered naturalism, so there can't ever be a naturalism of the gaps. Does that make sense?
Well, I want to outline once again.
Does that
What
make sense? There cannot ever be a naturalism of the gaps because naturalism has already been discovered. We already have natural things, so it's reasonable to use natural things as an explanation. A
what
god of
is
the
natural?
gaps,
What is naturalism?
squirrels,
Naturalism
physical
is the
things,
attempt.
planets, just
Well,
anything that is
just
natural,
let,
non-supernatural.
can I answer? Can I answer?
I thought
Naturalism
you were
is the
asking me.
attempt is the attempt to explain everything physical, our physical universe, by natural
No,
means.
that's metaphysical naturalism. No one said anything about metaphysical naturalism. So again, my
Okay.
only explanation here is that we have examples of natural things that explain stuff, so it's reasonable to use natural explanations to explain more stuff. That's it. I
Well,
mean, so does that make sense?
we do not have a natural
I don't
explanation of
care
the
about life
origin
here.
of
I'm saying
life.
we have explanations of some natural things, so we can use natural explanations to explain stuff. Like, which part of this does not make sense?
Well, I would like just to stick to one topic.
Right, right.
We
I
could.
do. I also want to stick to one topic here, so I want to make sure you understand the difference between a God of the gaps and a naturalism of the gaps.
Well, you are doing just assertions,
I haven't
Tom,
asserted anything.
and
This is I'm asking you questions here.
you
So,
did. You
which
did.
part do
You
you
just
not?
asserted. You asserted that everything can be explained by natural
No, I
means,
never
but
said that. I never said that at all. Antangelo, listen very carefully. There are some things that have been explained by natural causes. That cup fell over. It was caused by a squirrel. That is all natural. There is no supernatural in that thing. What is the cup? It's natural. What knocked it over is a squirrel. What is the squirrel is natural. That's all I need. I didn't say anything about everything. I don't need everything. I just said
but
the
what
squirrel knocked over the cup and that is natural. So now it's reasonable for me to use natural explanations to explain more things that we don't know yet. Because we have examples of natural things and they do explain things. So if there's something we don't know, we can say it's probably a natural explanation. That's reasonable. Okay? It doesn't matter if we can explain everything. It doesn't make a difference. We have some examples of natural things. They do explain things. So we can say the next unknown can be explained by a natural thing, probably. That is reasonable. That is called induction. You cannot do that for a god or the supernatural because that have never been able to explain anything. So saying that that thing we don't know yet can be explained by the
okay?
supernatural or God
Can
is
okay?
fallacious. It's you can't do that. That's dumb.
Can
We can do it
can
for
fact
natural. Does that make sense? Do you understand the difference between an argument from induction and a god of the gaps? That is the question.
Well, you cannot infer or induce the origin of life by natural means because the evidence isn't there.
Then you're not understanding. So if you say white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, we don't know what the next goose is. If you say it's white, that's reasonable. If you say it's black, that's dumb. The reason is because the white gooses we have examples from in the past. We have no examples of the black goose in the past. So the white goose is reasonable. The same thing applies to
So
natural
we don't.
explanations.
So compare the white goose to
Naturalism,
the
natural things.
scientific experiments done to try to explain the origin of life,
This
and
has
they
nothing to do
have
with the
not.
origin of life yet. This is just
Well,
basic logic. You've got to get the basic logic down first, and then you can see the argument and how it applies to the origin of life.
okay, Tom. The scientific evidence demonstrates that the origin of life by natural means is not possible.
No, so nothing in science can ever show something is not possible. That's immediately fallacious and immediately wrong. So no, that is not ever the case. So again, but you still haven't just gotten the basic logic here of the most simple thing. If you can't understand this, there's no point in like continuing. Basic induction works by saying there are things we've discovered in the past. It's reasonable to infer those things we've already discovered can cause more things. It is not reasonable to jump in to insert things that have no past evidence at all. You can't do that.
So
So
I will
you've got
just.
to you've got to
I
stick on this one point. Until you
Yeah,
answer this
yeah,
point, we're
I
not moving
understand
forward.
that you want the correct terminology, but I actually
This has
don't
nothing to do with
care.
the terminology. I don't care about the terminology. It's just the basic logic. If you don't understand basic logic, then you can't get the argument. If you don't
Well,
understand the basic logic, then all of the science is just going to go over your head because you don't get it. So you have to get what is the difference between an argument from induction and a God of the gaps? If you don't understand that, we're not going forward. You have to get this. Do you understand? If we have a bunch of white geese and we see the next one we discover, which we don't know anything about it yet, we have no evidence what the next goose is going to be. If you say it's probably white, we have no evidence, but we're going to say it's probably white. That's reasonable. That's induction. If you have no evidence and say it's going to be black, that's unreasonable. Does that make sense? Do you understand the difference between if we see a whole bunch of white geese and we don't know what the next one is going to be, and we're going to say what color is the next one? If someone says white, they're reasonable. If someone says black, they're not reasonable.
So based on what evidence do you think is it reasonable that science will find out how
we're
life
talking about
came
geese.
to
Just stick. I want to make sure you understand the logic here. If we're talking about geese, we have only examples of white geese in the past, and we want to know what is the color of the next goose. If someone says white, they're reasonable, and if someone says black, they're unreasonable. Yes?
So we have 70 years of abiogenesis
No.
research.
White geese, just geese. Get rid of the abiogenesis. You can't understand the logic, then we can't get the topic.
Okay, I understand your logic, and based on that logic, I am asking you.
So no. You have to actually say, so which is reasonable, the white goose or the black goose? Which is more reasonable?
White goose.
Thank you. Okay, now is your question.
So based on 70 years of abiogenesis research, we know that abiogenesis, or life from non-life by unguided events, is not possible. Why do you think in the future this will change?
Because we have 3,000 years of successful natural science. So the 70 years we haven't discovered one thing is nothing compared to the 3,000 years of consistent discoveries of natural stuff.
Well, abiogenesis research has started, I would say, in the 50s with the advent of discovery of DNA.
I don't think you understand. So I understand. Yes. Abiogenesis research, but scientific natural research into how reality works started way before that. And we have lots and lots and lots of millions of examples of things where that works. Everything we don't know, everything we haven't discovered at some point, we end up discovering are natural. Every single time, 100% of the time, always, throughout all history. For the 3,000 or so years we have done science. So that evidence supersedes the 70 years we haven't discovered abiogenesis. Like, we haven't discovered dark matter, we haven't discovered dark energy, we haven't discovered the origin of consciousness. There are lots of things we haven't discovered. But all of the discoveries we have ever made throughout all of history have all been natural. Therefore, it's reasonable to conclude this next one is also going to be natural.
I disagree with you.
How so?
And I think this is very superficial reasoning, because I think to come to valid and certain conclusions in regards of origins, you need to dig until you come to the bottom of the issues. And if you don't do that, then it is certainly possible that you make pseudo-scientific assertions which are not true and which are incorrect.
Right. So we're just at the first stage with no evidence yet. We're just saying we don't know what caused the origin of life. So what is the reasonable hypothesis? The ones we have examples of, natural stuff, yes. Ones we have no examples of, supernatural stuff, no. So it's reasonable to conclude for anything we ever discover we don't know that it's going to be caused by a natural explanation because we have past examples of natural explanations. That's the first step. Then we have to go into the evidence. Like, what is the evidence? Now, the evidence also confirms this. So if we're looking at the origin of life and we take the two hypotheses, one is naturalism or just caused by natural processes and the other one is supernatural, which one makes testable predictions? Well, the natural one makes testable predictions. Like when we discover, can we make RNA on clay? Can RNA form self-replicating molecules on its own without human intervention? We discover, yes, it can. Can we discover natural methodologies to form corpuscles around things to produce cells? Yep, we've discovered natural processes for that. Can we discover natural processes that can result in polymers and monomers? Yes, we've discovered natural processes for that. Every single one of the stages that has been made, that testable predictions have been made about for the origin of life, have been successful on the natural hypothesis. We are making progress. The supernatural design hypothesis makes no predictions. So the evidence actually indicates that the natural process is more likely to be true because it makes predictions that are correct consistently. whereas none have been made in the context of design. So the natural evidence for the origin of life being natural exists significantly more where there's none in the case of a design. So both inductively, before we have any evidence, it's more reasonable to conclude that it's natural, and a posteriori, after we look at the evidence, it's still better explanation of natural.
Okay, what are the 4 basic building blocks of life, Tom?
4 basic building blocks of life. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
I don't need
amino acids, lipids,
this
carbohydrates.
doesn't help your argument. So again, my argument
and,
was,
well,
or
would you like to permit me to formulate the question?
well, I want to know. Just start with the question and then give the explanation. Don't give the explanation of the question.
I was doing that, but you
No.
were
Like
interrupting me.
Start with, your argument doesn't work because.
Can I make the question?
We'll start with the, like, your argument doesn't work because, or here is an error. Say something like that. Don't ask a question.
I would like to come to concrete exemplifying facts.
Okay.
But for that, you need to permit me to ask you, okay?
Well, no, you don't need to ask me anything. You can say, here is why I think you're wrong. Insert something.
Well, I think you are wrong in your whole methodology to come to the truth of origins.
Okay, how so?
You are because you are superficial. You make a lot of assertions, but you are unable to back them up.
Okay, which part of my argument?
I disagree that I think that materialism has no explanations at all in regards of origins. So I basically take the opposite position that you are taking.
Okay, but you haven't explained where.
But I would like to come to that if you permit.
No. So you said there's something about my argument that is inconsistent or something. So here's my argument.
Yes.
My argument is that
you're not backing it up. You just
right. So I backed it up. No, I backed it up, and you have to show where I didn't. So here's the explanation: is that we have natural explanations. A squirrel knocked over the cup. We can use natural explanations to explain other things we don't know yet. Anything we don't know, we can say it's probably natural. That's perfectly reasonable because of induction. You can't say it's not natural. That isn't reasonable. So a priori, before we look at any evidence, we just don't know. Like we say, here is something we don't know anything about. It's reasonable to conclude naturalism just based off of the fact that we have past natural explanations. Secondly, we have good evidence to conclude that the origin of life will be natural because in the natural hypothesis makes predictions about how life, or how the building blocks of life can form in natural processes without human intervention, and we have made discoveries, scientific discoveries, that confirm those predictions. So it makes progress. The natural hypothesis that life is going to origin has made progress.
Yes. You said that already, Tom.
You said I said something that wasn't supported. Which part of my argument isn't supported?
Well, it's not supported. I would like to exemplify it, if you permit, because you are not.
Start with this part doesn't work. Start with saying which part of my argument isn't supported.
Okay, there are 4 basic building blocks of life.
You said my argument isn't supported. I just gave you a bunch of support, so you have to show me which part of that isn't.
Tom, if you don't let me talk,
no,
and
Otangelo,
ask you have to
we
talk.
will
not come anywhere
Otangelo,
because you're just
Otangelo.
talking. I am listening to you, but you are not permitting me to talk. So I would like to come.
Have to go in order.
Yeah. Can I ask you?
I understand. Yes,
okay,
but you
so
need
listen
to
and
start.
Answer.
Otangelo.
Tom, you need to answer my questions.
No, your question. You have to
somewhere.
support what you said. You said my argument isn't supported. Now I just gave a ton of support. You have to say which part.
I will show you why, but you are not permitting me to talk.
No.
Can I talk now?
Start with.
Can I ask?
No. You cannot ask any questions. You have to answer first. You have to say which part of my argument isn't supported. Because I just gave a bunch of support. Tell me which part isn't supported. Don't ask me any questions. You don't get to ask me any questions. You have to say this part isn't supported.
I think there are no reasonable explanations based on materialism that explain our origins.
I never said there were. So that wasn't a part of my argument. So my argument is that
What you are claiming is that all things that have been investigated
no,
in regards of origins there have been found material explanations.
no, I claimed that material explanations make testable predictions which have been confirmed. So we can make predictions about
So,
how
so,
RNA can form
so,
on clay before we know it.
so there have been made predictions in regards of the origin of life, and they have not been confirmed.
Well, the number that aren't confirmed don't matter. Again, Thomas Edison made
They
10,000
do
ways.
matter. That
No,
is a
no,
very
no,
important
no,
issue.
no,
They
Otangelo,
have not been.
Otangelo.
I can give you an example
No,
if you
Otangelo.
like.
Wait. So Thomas Edison made 10,000 ways that he failed to make a light bulb. They didn't work. They were all failures. None of those matter. All that matters is he made one that did. So in science, if we have one hypothesis that makes a bunch of failed predictions, but it makes some that work, the ones that work are evidence that that hypothesis is correct.
There are no working models that explain the origin of
You don't
life
need to
by
explain everything.
materialistic means.
Otangelo, you don't need to
But
explain the origin of life.
you have no explanations at all
You
in
don't need,
regards of
Otangelo,
the
you don't
origin
need to
of life.
explain the origin of life. You need to explain pieces. That's it, just pieces. We can
You
say
can't even explain the origin of the basic building
it
blocks.
doesn't matter. We only need to make some testable
does
predictions.
matter.
We don't need to explain everything, Otangelo.
The predictions, they have not been confirmed.
They have been confirmed. The RNA on clay is a
No.
prediction that has been confirmed.
You just claim it, but if you don't permit
Colin,
me,
I mean, Otangelo, we've demonstrated RNA on clay. That is a prediction made by natural hypothesis that was confirmed. Where is the problem here?
can I? Do you permit me that I
Yes,
explain
explain.
it to you?
I want you to. I want you to say the problem here is.
But the problem is that you are not permitting me to talk. I am trying to be very generous to you.
Go talk. What is the problem? The problem is what?
Okay. RNA has bases, the ribose, and the phosphate.
I still not seeing the problem. Still not seeing. Where is the problem?
You are interrupting me, Tom.
Right, because you haven't. You have to start with. You said the problem is this.
Tom, are you able to listen?
Yes, I'm very able to listen, but you have to skip all of your explanations.
But
Just go say the problem.
then you need to stop talking. Then you need to stop
Otangelo,
talking.
I'm just going to mute you if you don't just tell me what's wrong. You have to say your argument is wrong here. This is just basic English. Say this is the problem, and then go into the explanation. Don't start with the explanation. Say here is the problem. What is the problem?
How has ribose been selected between a right-handed ribose and left-handed ribose? Because life only selects right-handed ribose to make RNA.
We don't know. We don't need to know that. It's not. I never said that in my argument. That was never a part of my argument, so it doesn't.
But I do.
No, you don't.
But I do. Yes, I do. I'm challenging you. If you don't explain that, if you cannot select right-handed ribose from left-handed ribose, you have no life.
Great. Publish it in a paper. So we have testable predictions, which are confirmed in the natural hypothesis. There are none in the design hypothesis. So evidence indicates ours is right.
There is no mechanism besides enzymes by selecting and producing right-handed ribose.
Okay, none of this is evidence that helps you. So this doesn't refute my argument.
Absolutely, you need right-handed ribose to have RNA, and there is no selection mechanism.
Doesn't matter. The fact that we don't know some things is irrelevant to my argument. Nope.
It matters.
Nope. So again, this is why I keep interrupting you, because nothing you're saying does anything to help your position. My argument is this: we have evidence. The evidence is the testable predictions. We make testable predictions about RNA on clay, RNA formed on clay.
You can make testable predictions that Santa Claus will come in December to give you presents. You can make whatever testable prediction that you want. You can come up with whatever testable prediction you want. If it's not confirmed, then you cannot simply say, oh, one day it will be discovered, and we just stick to that explanation. That's not how it works.
No, that's the induction part. So the induction part means all of the past things we've discovered are in line with this. So that part, again, I tried to explain this for you
So
before.
we are in line that life cannot come from non-life.
No, there's nothing there. There's only evidence of natural explanations. Only. Throughout all of
there are
history, there is only explanations.
Tom, there are no natural explanations that confirm that life can come from
Otangelo,
non-life.
this is just basic logic. Yes, we do not know how life formed. We don't need to. We can say we know all of the stuff in the past we've ever discovered through all of human history are natural. We can say the origin of life, which we do not know yet, will also be natural. That's induction. That's perfectly reasonable. Done.
No, I disagree.
You don't need to disagree. It's just the definition of induction.
Well, let me ask you something. If I ask you, Tom, check if in your wallet you have coins, and you check and you don't find coins in your wallet, is it reasonable to say, based on your checking and you did not find any coins in your wallet, that then there are no coins in your wallet? Is that reasonable?
Yes.
So, if in 70 years of scientific investigation, we have just seen that rather than coming closer to explain the origin of life by natural means,
we are getting closer. We're getting closer every day. We're making successful predictions every day.
That is one of your assertions which you cannot
Which I've already supported. So again, I've already supported that by saying, look at the testable predictions. We made a prediction that RNA can form on clay. It was correct. That's evidence. We're done. That's evidence.
Well, I disagree.
You don't get to disagree. That's how evidence works. You just don't understand basic science.
No. You don't even know that RNA is based on phosphate.
You're not understanding the science here. You're not understanding the science here. So we don't need to explain everything. We do not ever need to explain everything. We need to explain one thing. If there's one thing we get right, that's evidence. So we predicted RNA on clay. RNA formed on clay. That's evidence. We need to explain nothing else. Literally nothing else needs to be explained. That itself, just that one fact, is evidence for our side. We need nothing else.
Tom, let me ask you, how many amino acids are used in life?
Don't need to. We have one thing. We predicted RNA on clay. RNA formed on clay. That's evidence.
No. I'm asking you. Okay, let me move on. How many different amino acids are used in life?
Don't know, don't need to. Again, we have one thing that's evidence, which is RNA formed on clay. We got that right. We're done. Like, how do you
RNA has nothing to do with amino acids.
Right,
Tom.
right. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying how evidence works. Evidence is we make predictions.
I'm asking you a different question, Tom.
I don't care about your questions. I've presented two lines of evidence that both support naturalism, and you haven't refuted either one.
You don't care about my question, so what are we talking about? I thought this is a dialogue.
You said my arguments are not supported. I've just made assertions with not supported. So I gave two arguments, two lines of evidence that are both supported.
You cannot support them.
No, I've already supported them. You don't understand how support works. Support is testable predictions.
Okay.
If I make a testable prediction, like this is basic science. How science works is you take your hypothesis. If your hypothesis is true, you make a prediction. If that prediction is confirmed, that's evidence. End of story. So the natural hypothesis is that life can form by natural processes. One of the predictions we made was that RNA can form on clay. We discovered RNA can form on clay. That's evidence. So now you have to say, I just supported my evidence. We have support.
Let's do following. I don't think that dialogue and life is a good format. When we finish this one, provide a science paper that supports your claim, and then I will answer to it. And if you permit, we can come back to that issue.
I don't need to present a paper. It's already there. RNA on clay. Google it. It's extremely common. So,
look. I explained to you that the only mechanism that supposedly it explains is the interlinking from one RNA molecule to another to form polymers.
That's fine.
But before you can even come to that, you need to explain the origin of the monomers.
If it explains one thing, that's evidence. That's it. That's all we need. We have evidence. We explained one thing, and we did it naturally with no supernatural. That's evidence. That's supported evidence of natural explanations. Like, how is that not supported?
Tom, the phosphate is always attached to the 5' of
it doesn't
the
matter.
ribose.
Like, we only need to explain one thing. If we
Tom,
get one
why
thing
do you
right,
not
that's
listen?
evidence.
Tom, you need to learn to listen.
No. You need to learn how to
You
understand
need
logic.
to learn to listen.
No.
Otangelo,
You keep
you
saying,
don't
here's
let
one
me
thing we know.
explain you. You don't let me finish
Right,
to
that's because I
explain
already
you.
know what you're going to say, Otangelo. I already know what you're going to say, and
No,
you're
you
going in the wrong
don't.
direction.
You don't even
So,
know what the composition of
Otangelo,
RNA is.
evidence is the ability to make one prediction that was successful. We've done that with RNA. It doesn't matter how much else we don't know. It doesn't matter how much else we can't explain. It makes no difference. We made one prediction. We got it right. It explains one thing. That's evidence. That is supported evidence. That's all we need. We don't need anything else. We got one thing right. Naturally, one thing right. That's evidence.
So why would in nature, on a prebiotic Earth, even there be an urge of one RNA monomer to attach to a second, then to a third, then to a fourth, then to a fifth, and then to a sixth, always at the right 5' position? Why?
Don't know. I don't know, and I don't need to. We have evidence. We did that
you
one
do.
thing. That's it.
No.
No, you keep saying you keep saying here are other things we haven't explained yet. Like, okay, I don't need to explain any of those. Here are the things I have explained, and they've made testable predictions, and they have evidence. That's it.
Do you think that the clay story explains the origin of life?
No, it just explains a single piece. That's all it needs to do.
Yeah.
That's how evidence works. I need to explain one thing. That's not proof. It doesn't prove. It doesn't solve everything. It's evidence. Evidence is to explain one thing, make a testable prediction. We got it right. We got the RNA on clay right. That was a prediction made by natural explanations. It was right. So that is supported evidence for the natural hypothesis. It doesn't explain everything. It doesn't need to explain everything. It just needs to be one thing.
There is no prebiotic mechanism to attach one RNA to the second RNA at the right.
That's a different thing. We haven't explained that. Okay, we haven't explained that. I don't care. We have explained the RNA.
And you won't be able to explain it.
That's your assertion. That's not evidence. We have evidence.
That's not my assertion.
Yes,
that's not my assertion.
You can't. You said we cannot ever explain something. Science doesn't ever do that. That is obviously fallacious, and science cannot ever say you cannot ever do something. Anytime anyone ever says something's impossible, they're immediately wrong. So that doesn't work. That's not evidence. We have evidence. We have explained some things. That's evidence. That's supported evidence. And you said it's not supported when it's literally, that's what supported evidence means.
I challenge you to present after that debate the paper, and then either I will grant you that you are right, or I will tell you, no, you are not right for that and that reason. Okay?
Do you know of the RNA on clay paper? Do you know it exists?
Yes.
Does it show something?
Yes. Well,
does it show something? Does it show anything at all?
To get into the details, Tom, we would have to.
It doesn't matter what the detail. Does it show something? Anything?
What does it matter that it shows something?
That's
you
evidence.
You can make up anything you want.
Well, no, I don't know what it says. I don't care what it says. Does it show something? Was it a testable prediction made by a natural hypothesis?
Yeah, they made predictions. They can predict whatever they want.
No. I mean, they made a prediction. They did an experiment. They confirmed the prediction. Right?
Do you know Kearns Smith?
Go back. So a scientific paper is you make a prediction, you do an experiment, and you confirm the prediction. Correct?
Do you know Graham Kearns Smith?
No. You have to get this. This is what evidence is. This is the whole crux of my argument here. So science is you make a prediction, you do an experiment, confirm the prediction. That's evidence. Did the RNA paper do that?
They made the tests, the experiments, yes?
Yes. And what were they testing? They said, we're going to predict something, then we're going to do tests. And what were they testing?
I suggested to you that in a second episode, we can have a look at the paper.
No. It doesn't
And
matter.
then
It doesn't matter. I don't need to know
does
anything about the
matter.
paper.
I like to come to conclusions based on the details
You're
and
not.
the
You're
evidence.
not getting this.
I
You're not getting
don't
this.
make just up things.
You're
Tom.
not getting
You
this.
are doing
Evidence.
just up things.
Evidence is a testable prediction which is confirmed. The RNA paper made a testable prediction which was confirmed. I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is. That's evidence. Whatever it did, that's evidence. So we have evidence for the natural hypothesis. That's
Tom,
it.
do you make your inferences based on blind faith?
No, we have evidence.
Yeah,
I
that's what
just
you're
explained. No, I just explained we have
That's what
evidence.
you're doing. You don't even know the paper. Do you know the paper? Have you read it?
Yes, I've read it a long time ago. I don't need to. So
Oh, a
again,
long time ago. Great.
there's
So,
a paper with RNA on clay, prediction made by natural explanation, which was made correct. That's evidence. Wait, where's
your
the
assertion.
problem here?
That's your assertion.
No. We have a paper. You accept the paper
assertion.
exists. You accept it was a scientific experiment. You accept it was successful. That's evidence. Doesn't prove everything. It doesn't need to.
I am not saying it was successful. That's your claim, Tom.
What do you mean?
You have not backed it up.
It's
You
in
have
the
not
paper.
backed
The paper
it up.
literally demonstrates
Yeah,
RNA forming on clay. That is the
Show
conclusion
it
of the
to me.
paper.
Show it to me.
Just Google it. I don't need to show it. I'm not even going to take the effort.
Okay. I already proposed you to do that. To have a look at it.
No. So again, you have not in any way addressed. So I've
proposing
proven you wrong in
you
two
to
ways.
do
I've
it.
proven you wrong in two ways, and you have done
you
nothing
have
to
not.
address either way.
I proposed you to look
I
at
don't care
the
what
paper.
you proposed. I presented two lines of evidence. You've done nothing to counter either one.
I've not looked at the paper. You are
You don't need to
operating
look
on
at the
blind
paper.
faith.
You don't need to look at the paper. That's not the
Of course
point.
you do. You need to understand the
No,
paper.
no, you don't. No, you don't. You just need to know what evidence is.
Of course you do. So if someone
No.
tells
The
you act,
contents of the paper do not matter. Science makes
course it
predictions. Science confirms
course
the
it
predictions.
does.
That's evidence.
So
I don't
you-
care what they did. It doesn't make a difference. We have evidence on our side.
So you
Science makes
operate on
predictions.
blind
Predictions
faith,
confirmed.
Tom.
Evidence done.
you operate on blind faith.
No,
I don't.
nothing I've said
course
has
you
blind
do.
faith. What I said was there is
You-
a paper with RNA forming on clay. RNA was demonstrated to form on clay. True or false? Which part of that is false? Which part of that is unsupported?
I've not read the paper.
Okay, well then there it is. You can go Google it and have fun with that. I presented
Yes,
evidence. My side is supported.
I proposed you to do that.
No.
and
I
then-
don't need to. I'm already done. I've already presented the evidence. My side is supported. You need to present it. You need to say, okay, you can go read the paper and go.
So
do
can we
whatever.
go? So fine. Can we go to another topic?
No, because you haven't. I've presented two lines of evidence. You've done nothing to counter either one. You keep saying I have no evidence, and I've just presented two things. We have evidence. So we have scientific papers in the
You
field of
said
life.
that already. You said that already.
Yes.
I already proposed you that
No,
I will
you haven't
give a look.
proposed. I don't care what you proposed. You're not countering my evidence. My evidence is we have scientific papers that make predictions, and those predictions are correct. You agree that's true.
like to
That's
go on?
evidence. Like I don't need to. That's
Would you
it.
like-
I'm done.
Would you like to go on?
Yes, I would
Can
like to
we-
go on.
can we
I'd like for you
move
to
further?
actually answer the question. You said at the beginning, over and over again, you have made unsupported assertions. I just presented a paper. Here's a scientific paper, makes predictions, gets them right. That's not an assertion. That's proof. That's evidence. We have evidence. It doesn't prove the origin of life. It doesn't need to prove the origin of life. It does one thing, which it shows RNA forms on clay. We made that
I
prediction.
don't take
We got it
whatever
right.
you say at face value, Tom.
I don't care. That's
I
fine.
don't-
You don't need to. You
Well,
can Google it on
So
your
I'm
own.
explaining you how I do it. So
I
if
don't
you
care how
want
you do
to
it.
put,
You said you made the claim my position is unsupported. I just presented support. I proved you
okay,
wrong.
can we go on? Can we go to another topic?
Sure, go for another topic.
Okay. One of the four building blocks are amino acids, which make proteins. All right? Do you agree with that? Do you know
Yes.
that?
This is not
Okay.
relevant. It's not evidence
On
of
a,
anything.
on, a,
Next.
on a prebiotic Earth, supposedly based on scientific papers, there were about 500 different amino acids available. Okay?
Not evidence.
Life uses 20 amino acids only, and they are all left-handed amino acids.
Great.
Now
Still
explain
not
to me,
evidence.
how do you imagine that a natural unguided process did unite and select amongst these 500 different amino acids the correct ones used to make life?
I don't know, and I don't need to, because none of that was a part of my argument.
It's a part of my argument.
Great, but that's not evidence. So here's something we don't know. That's called an argument from ignorance. Here's something we don't know, and it could be natural, could be
So,
supernatural.
so let me make an analogy. Okay, let me suppose that you have 500 numbers, count from 1 to 500 snippets of paper. The first snippet there is the number 1, and then at the last snippet is the number 500,
You're saying it's
and you have
improbable, but that's not
500.
evidence. Okay.
Can
Well, I
I
already know what
finish?
you're going to say. So you're saying it's really improbable. We have no
So,
way to explain
so
it.
my
Great.
question is, how would you, by unguided natural means, select 20 specific numbers amongst these 500 snippets of paper, each one with a different number in it?
Don't know, and I don't need
Unguided.
to, because again, that's not evidence. That's just here's something we don't
You do.
know.
It's evidence that is not possible by
No.
unguided means.
You can't. There's never evidence it's not possible. That's not a thing. You can't ever say that in science. There's only evidence
Well,
of things we
okay,
don't
I
know.
won't say it's impossible, but the statistical probability to have a minimal proteome, to have the first life living cell, is 1 to 10 to the 350,000.
That's only given known processes. So again, that's not evidence. So the probability of an electron coming from the Andromeda galaxy and coming to our eye is smaller than that. But it happens every day because there's natural processes we know that can do that.
Tom, your
So,
reasoning
so
is irrational.
no. My reasoning is
It
perfectly
is
rational.
irrational.
You are saying
You
here is
you are
something we can't
denying it,
explain.
but it is
No,
irrational. So let me ask you:
it has a
Have you ever?
named process. We know it's reasonable because it's a named reasonable process in rationality.
It's not
So,
rational.
no, it is perfectly rational.
There
It's
is
called
no
induction.
mechanism
No.
to
There is
select the
no
right amino
known.
acid.
Stop. There is no known mechanism. That is not evidence for anything. We just don't know it.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is
That's
evidence
called
of
an
the
argument from
absence.
ignorance. Argument from ignorance means
No,
you're an idiot. So
no.
your argument
I
doesn't
just
work. It's an argument
I
from ignorance,
just gave you a literal example.
which is an argument from ignorance. You gave an argument
Why
from
is
ignorance.
not?
Yes, it is.
If
What
I
is an
ask
argument from
you,
ignorance?
okay, if I ask you, Tom, look in
What is
your
an argument
wallet.
from ignorance? What is an
Can
argument
I
from
answer?
ignorance? No. What is an
Can I
argument from
answer?
ignorance?
I give an example.
No.
I give an
What is
example.
the definition of an argument from ignorance?
When you don't know something, it's like a gaps
What
argument. You say,
what what is it?
is there in science evidence of absence?
Is no. There's no evidence of absence.
Of course there is.
No.
If you make a prediction and that prediction is not met, then that is evidence of absence.
No, that's evidence that your hypothesis is wrong. It's not evidence
Yes,
that
that's evidence. That's evidence of absence.
no.
That's evidence that
No. So you can say I don't know, or I have a hypothesis that gravity is caused by widgets, and we make a prediction. That means that the widgets don't exist. That does not mean gravity doesn't exist.
Tom, if I make the prediction that you have coins in your wallet,
No.
and I ask you to check,
I understand what you're saying.
and
You made a problem.
so that's the point. That's the point.
No.
You check then, and you don't
It
find
proves
coins in your
no.
wallet.
Stop.
And that's
Artangelo.
positive evidence of absence.
Predictions that are falsified falsify the hypothesis that do not falsify naturalism. So the fact that we get predictions wrong means that one particular explanation was wrong. It does not mean naturalism is wrong. It does not mean it was done by a designer. That is not a
Yeah,
thing.
okay, I agree with you on that. So, if we do not have a
what is an
capable
argument from ignorance?
mechanism,
I asked you again, what is an argument from ignorance?
if you think that you can make an argument based on the lack of evidence or knowledge,
Close, I guess. An argument from ignorance is saying that because we don't know something, therefore something else. So
Could be,
because
yes.
we don't know the natural process by which the 500 sheets of paper can be organized,
why don't actually? It's not that we don't know. We have evidence that an unguided natural mechanism is extremely unlikely.
no,
So
we
that
don't.
it's
We do not have
evidence
that.
of
No, we
absence.
don't. What we have is
Yes, we
the
do.
natural processes we know of. We don't know. It's very unlikely with the natural processes we know of.
Yes,
That's it.
exactly. But
There are many
yeah,
natural
that's it.
processes we don't
That's
know
enough.
of. So we can't say that,
But
no, it's unlikely a
but
natural process.
but Tom, unlikeliness is enough to make an argument.
No, it's not, because we still have
Of course it is.
unlikely is still better than there is 0% chance of supernatural because there's
do
no
you
evidence of it.
do you, do you go when you have evidence that intelligence did something, and you have no evidence that non-intelligence
No,
could
no,
not
there's
have done it,
zero evidence of any
where do you
intelligence
go with
related.
that?
There's zero evidence that intelligence is related to any biological process. None.
Absolutely, it is.
Where? You haven't
It
presented
is.
any. You've presented
Okay,
none.
can factories self-assemble?
Factories have nothing to do with biology. Next.
They have.
No,
Cells
no.
are factories.
A factory is a man-made system to produce machines.
Not necessarily man-made.
Yep.
It's
That's a
based
factory. A
on
factory is necessarily man-made. Biology
what
is not man-made.
what
Biology
what
isn't a
means
factory.
Tom, what means factory? It comes from the Latin fabricare, fare, making. And what do cells do? They make
Cells are not
literally.
factories. Next.
Well, that's science.
No,
I can
no. A
provide you.
factory.
I can provide you at least 2 dozens of science papers which claim that cells are factories, and even books that characterize cells as factories.
Yes, that's how analogies work.
They make well, it is an analogy, but it is also literally a factory,
No,
because
that
they
is
make
not correct.
cells make cells. They self-replicate. They make the basic building blocks of life.
Yes. So again,
And then
go back.
then they make
RNA is
machines.
self-replicating. RNA can also be considered a factory. The clay can be considered a factory. RNA produces on clay. All of that happens no human design. So, yep, we have
I'm not
factories made by
talking-
natural processes, no humans, and it can replicate. Done.
I'm not talking about. There is no condition that it has to be man-made. The condition is that intelligence is a prerequisite
Wait, so
to make
the
machines.
clay is a factory for RNA. It is not intelligence. There is no intelligence involved. The clay produces the RNA. It is a factory for the RNA. You do not need intelligence for a factory.
So let me suppose that your argument is right, that RNA is made by catalysis. Okay, so you have maybe one RNA, two RNAs that bind together by catalysis. Then you have three. Then you have four. You are unable by tests to get more than about 40 RNAs joined together and polymerized. If you get more than that, there is no evidence that you can get more than that.
Okay,
But
that's
to have
remember,
a
remember when I
minimal,
asked what's an argument from ignorance? That's an argument from ignorance.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Because
Here's
no,
one
no.
thing we can't explain. I don't care. We've explained
You
the
don't-
previous thing. We don't need to
It's
explain any
not-
more than that.
Tom, it's not that we can't explain it, because we have not made the tests. The tests have been made, and they have shown that determined procedure is not working.
Yes, it shows that the things we have tried so far haven't worked. That's an argument from ignorance. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't
Okay.
mean that
If
the
I'm
things we
asking
haven't
you-
tried won't.
If I'm asking you to take ink and then a piece of paper,
No,
and
no,
then
no,
I
no,
am
no, no,
telling
no,
you-
no, no. Your ink analogy is false, so it doesn't matter. The fact that we haven't
False.
done experiments yet, none of our experiments yet can solve the
False.
origin of life, is not evidence that they can't solve the origin of life. It shows
No,
that our
you're-
current known processes can't. That's it. It's an argument from
Tom,
ignorance.
you're not listening. And if you are not listening, then you are unable to learn.
No,
And
I am
that's what
listening.
you're
I've already
doing.
proven your argument false. Your argument is an argument from
No,
ignorance.
you are false. And I'm trying to explain you why.
No, I
your
already
arg-
proved what you said was false. Your argument is an
No.
argument from ignorance. You're saying none of the things we've done so far can do this, therefore it can't ever be done. That's an argument from ignorance.
I go with you on that, that it's maybe wrong to say in absolute terms that's impossible. If you want it technically, I go with you on that. But I'll say to you that based on experience and statistics, it's extremely unlikely at the point that
Yes.
I am fine. If others are not, that's okay. But I am fine to say that upon the evidence at hand, it's at the point of virtually impossible.
No, so again, that's a contradiction. That's an argument from ignorance. Anytime you ever say it's impossible, argument from ignorance. 100%, no matter what, can't be done.
Okay, so just let me point. So just let me say it's extremely unlikely.
With the known
So if
processes,
you
yes.
So if I have two competing hypotheses, and one is extremely unlikely and the other is extremely likely or evident or even proven, then which one of the two hypotheses do you choose? It's obvious. You go
Yes, the
with the
extremely
one that's
likely one.
more
Yes.
likely. Exactly. So
Which is
it's
right now the natural
extremely.
hypothesis. The natural hypothesis
It's
is the most
no,
likely.
no, no, Tom. I
Yes.
disagree. So it's extremely likely that intelligence it's irrelevant. It's if it's man,
Yes.
human intelligence or not. I just say that intelligent design is extremely likely
No.
to make
It has no
blueprints.
likelihood. It has
Let me
no
finish,
relevance.
Tom. Let me finish, please. It's extremely likely that blueprints and machines and factories made based
Argument
precisely
from
on the
analogy fallacy.
instruction.
Next.
No, it's not an argument of it's not an analogy
What?
because that is
Blueprints,
exactly what.
analogy, factory
Well,
analogy.
would you be fine if I tell you instructional information?
Instructional information we know for a fact can be made with no intelligence. That's the RNA enclave.
Well, that is not instructional information, Tom.
RNA is literally instructional
You
information.
need, do you know how many nucleotides that
It
you
doesn't
need?
matter how detailed it is.
Polymerized.
It's literally
That
instructional information.
matters. What I am telling you matters and a lot.
No, it
If
doesn't.
you would like to, if you would like to, would you like to listen and try to pay attention
No, because I
to
already
what
know what
I'm
you're saying and
trying
I
to
already know
use?
why it's wrong.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So
What does the minute?
your whole argument is saying, well, it only explains a small piece, but it doesn't explain the whole piece. Okay, it explains a small piece. That's all I need.
Your clay example doesn't explain the origin of
It
information, of
doesn't need
instructional
to explain the
information.
origin
It
of information.
does.
All it does is need to
It
explain
has
some.
to.
If it
It
creates
has to
RNA,
explain
it
it.
by definition creates information. Information
No,
is
that's not true.
necessarily in
That's a
every piece of
baseless
RNA,
claim.
always.
That's a Tom. That's a baseless claim.
No, it's just
I'm
the
sorry.
definition of
It's a
information.
baseless claim.
Information.
It's a baseless
No,
claim.
information by definition. Shannon information theory in his paper published in 1958. Information is a measure of entropy. So entropy change is information. So if RNA is formed on clay, it is information. Done.
It
Proof.
doesn't form on clay.
It does.
It doesn't form on clay.
RNA forms on
Okay.
clay. We've
What is
proven
the
that.
minimal size of
Don't
a
know,
minimal?
don't need to know. We know RNA forms on clay. Just Google RNA forms on clay. There you go. Paper done.
Tom, I'm done with you.
Fine. Like you've said
Okay.
nothing. You said nothing.
I don't see any reason to go further than that. What I can tell you, what my observation is, that you are unwilling to learn. You are unwilling to listen.
I've already proven you false.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
That's again an unproven claim.
No, that's the proven
claim.
paper
Okay.
claims that. So I don't need to claim that the paper
Okay.
claims that.
Okay, whatever, Tom. Thank you very much for the debate. I think it's not necessary to go further than that. I think that you are closed to learn, and
I
you
don't
think
care what you
you
think.
are.
What you think doesn't matter. Like I'm looking at the paper right
fine.
now. I'm looking at the articles done on all of the published work and all of the ones, the testable predictions, which have been confirmed in the natural hypothesis right here on Science First Life, the search for the first replicator. Here are all of the testable predictions which have been confirmed on the natural hypothesis. This is all evidence that supports mine. You have none. Evolving replicators. There's an example. There's a paper.
Yeah, go ahead.
2001
Would you
RNA
like to quote it?
enzyme called R18 that can stick to 14 nucleotides. Evidence for my hypothesis. None for yours.
Do you think you have life with 14 nucleotides sticking
I don't need
together?
to. I don't need to. I don't need to explain everything. I need to explain one thing. This is evidence. This is evidence for our side. You have none.
You need to explain how you get 500,000
No, I don't. No, I don't.
nucleotides
I don't need to
together.
explain everything. I just need to explain one thing. One thing that we can explain is evidence for our side. So we have
disagree.
evidence.
If you have 10,000 things to explain and you have one thing explained, and
That's evidence.
9,999,
That's one thing of evidence.
you have evidence to the contrary.
No.
Then you are wrong.
What are you talking about? If we have 10,000 things to explain and we can explain one thing, that's one thing of evidence. That's evidence.
And if I have 9,999 things that there is evidence to the contrary,
There's
so
no
who
evidence
is
to the
right?
contrary. What are you talking about? We've explained one thing.
There is.
That's evidence to our
We have,
hypothesis. There's no evidence to the contrary.
we have evidence that there is no way
No. We
that we
can't
can
ever have that. We can't ever have evidence there is no way. That's
Tom,
not a thing.
You are not letting me talk.
That's right, because you're just making the same mistake over and over again. You keep saying there's evidence that we cannot do something. That's an argument from ignorance. If you ever say there's evidence we cannot do something, that's an argument from ignorance.
Okay, if I say it's extremely unlikely, are you happy?
It's extremely unlikely is fine, but that means that we have one piece of evidence.
So it's extremely unlikely that you get 500,000 nucleotides sticked together in the right sequence to have a first genome which permits life.
Right. So if it's extremely unlikely, that means there's some possibility that it could happen, which means we have evidence that it can happen. That's what probability means. So if it's extremely unlikely, that means there's some possibility it is likely, and that possibility it is likely comes from evidence.
Then I go with the evidence in the contrary. If it's unlikely,
that's the unlikely thing. You can't evidence the contrary. Argument from ignorance.
Can an intelligent designer make machines and factories, Tom?
Yes.
Can unguided random events do the same?
Yes, we've demonstrated.
No, we
clay is a
never
factory.
demonstrated.
Clay produces RNA. We've demonstrated.
Have they produced machines and factories?
Factories. The clay is a factory because it produces the RNA, and the machines are the RNA. So yes.
Has it ever demonstrated that an RNA molecule or the sequence of it produced ATP synthase?
No, we don't need that. We don't need that. All we need is the clay, which is the factory, and the RNA, which is the machine. That's it.
Wrong, Tom.
You don't need it to be good. You just need it to happen. That's it.
You have to have the evidence, and you will never get it.
That is evidence. We don't need it to do specific things.
By the analogy, we have evidence that intelligence can make machines and factories.
We have no evidence that intelligence has anything to do with biology. There is zero evidence.
That's your claim. You make again a baseless claim, Tom.
No, that's the claim of like everyone in biology.
No.
Yep.
Absolutely not. Yep. There are many.
I'm looking at the paper. I'm looking at the paper right now. NewScientist.com. Here's just a list of all the first life research and the replicators, and they all indicate natural hypothesis. There is no intelligence at all. Intelligent design is a pseudoscience. Garbage.
Okay, you want to go with that? Go with that.
Yes, because we have evidence. So this is all of the evidence for our side. Here's I can post a link. I'll put it in the description. Here are all the papers that support the natural predictions that we've made. So this is all of the evidence for the natural hypothesis. Does it explain everything? Nope, it doesn't need to. Just explain some things. So we have evidence. You have none. Your evidence is that, you can't explain everything. That's not evidence. That's not evidence.
At the end, it is the audience which judges each side. Okay, I think I made my case clear. I think you are you think that you own the truth.
No. I think that evidence works by having testable predictions. We have testable predictions. You don't.
Okay.
That's what evidence is.
You think
evidence is testable predictions. We make them.
Okay. You think you have the evidence on your side. I think I have the evidence of the absence.
Where? There is no such thing as evidence of absence. Show me what testable predictions you make.
Science hasn't demonstrated.
It doesn't matter what science has or hasn't demonstrated. Show me the testable predictions your hypothesis makes.
The predictions have not confirmed
that life
can come.
That's what science has done. Show me what you have done. Show me the intelligent design predictions that have been made that do anything. Show me any testable predictions intelligent design has ever made. We have them in science.
I just gave you an example.
You didn't.
I'm a machine designer. I'm a machine designer. I can design machines and factories. I have never seen unguided random events.
Make a testable prediction.
It is. It is. No. You can tell me. Show me that you are able to make that you can make instructional blueprints to make machines and factories. I will sit down to the drawing table and then I will design.
Too, but make a testable prediction. Say if intelligent design is true.
That's the prediction. That I'm intelligent, right?
Yes.
My profession is intelligent designer. I am literally an intelligent designer.
Great.
So you can predict that I, as an intelligent designer, capable of using my intelligence to design, make a blueprint or create instructional informations to make machines and factories.
And the sun will rise tomorrow. This isn't a testable prediction.
Let me finish. Then I will sit down on the table. I will take a piece of paper ink, and then I will draw to you, show you that I am capable of designing instructional information to make machines and
Yes,
blueprints.
yes, we
My
already know
prediction
this.
has been met.
That's
My
not a
prediction
testable
has
prediction.
been met.
That is
That's
not
a
a testable prediction.
prediction.
I can predict the sun will rise tomorrow. That isn't evidence of the spaghetti monster. You have to predict something we don't already know. To predict something we don't already know with
So
intelligent
we
design.
know already that intelligence can make machines
Yes,
and factories.
we already know that. Predict something we don't know.
So that is something that experimentally has been confirmed. Intelligence can make
No. That's
blueprints,
something we already
machines.
know. You can't.
So does
You
it
don't
matter?
experimentally confirm things we already
So
know.
does it matter?
Because to make a testable prediction, you have to predict something we don't know
Well,
yet.
but okay, but does it? Why is testable prediction so important to you?
Testable prediction is the scientific way we demonstrate that one hypothesis has evidence. It is evidence. If you
So
can't do
is
that, it's not
so is
evidence.
so Tom is our scientific predictions is methodological materialism or
What?
methodological science necessary to come to meaningful conclusions in regards of origins? I would say no. We have philosophy, we have theology, so we can use this and also make historical scientific investigation.
No.
And
So
when we have phenomena, when we have a living cell, then we can try to find out what is the best method to explain its origin. And when we see that a cell has in it instructional information, and upon that information, it makes machines and itself it is a factory, then we can ask what explains that phenomena best.
yes.
And
So
we know only.
the testable predictions are how we show it's not imaginary. So if you can't make testable predictions, then your explanation is imaginary. So if you there's not an option that you need to make testable predictions to show that what you're saying isn't just made up imaginary in your head. So if you can't do that, then it's just made up imaginary in your head.
Tom, what we are comparing is non-intelligence to intelligence. The
Right?
only intelligent agent that we know of that we can test is you, is me, us, or us. As human beings, we are intelligent.
Right?
So we know actually. We don't even have to make that test, but we
Right. That's the thing. We
know.
already know intelligence can produce factories.
Yes,
That is not a
yes.
testable prediction. If you want to say that
It
you have
doesn't have.
evidence,
It doesn't
you
have
need
to
to
be.
make. Yes, it does. That's evidence has to be testable
I
predictions, or you
don't
have nothing.
know. The evidence is the reality that I, as intelligent being, can make factories and machines, and
That's
I
not a
can
testable
make
prediction.
blueprints.
Make a testable prediction.
It doesn't have to
No,
be
it does.
because we know
If it's not
already.
a testable prediction, then you have no evidence. You have to be able to predict something we don't already know,
So,
or you have no
so is there
evidence.
no evidence that you are intelligent, Tom?
Yes, there is. We're evidence of intelligence because we
Okay,
can make testable
that's
predictions.
all. That's no, but it's not necessary, Tom.
Yes, it is
It
necessary. That's kind of how
we
you have to do it.
no, listen. You have already an example of what intelligence can do.
Yes,
You
we
and I,
already know that. We already know
yes,
that.
we
So that
already know.
isn't evidence.
So,
You have to give us something we
listen,
don't already know. Give us something we don't
listen,
already know.
listen. You and me, we can make blueprints or instructional
We already know that.
information
What
to
is something we don't know yet?
Can I finish,
Use
please?
intelligent design to tell us something we don't know. That's
You
evidence.
are, you are again not listening, Tom. Would you like to listening to my argument and
No, because you're
try actually
repeating it.
to understand? Well, but you have not understood it. That's the
We are
problem.
intelligent. Intelligence can
Why
do things. Yes, we already know that.
Yes.
We already know that.
So,
Tell us something we
so
don't
can
already know.
so can non-intelligence, unguided, random events, can they make machines and factories? I'm
Yes,
not
but that's
taking.
not the point. So again,
No,
tell us
that's the
something we
point.
don't already know.
That's the point.
No, that's an
That's the
argument from
point.
ignorance. That's an argument from ignorance. You're saying we don't know how this happens, therefore it can't happen. So you, for evidence, you still haven't given me any evidence. You have not shown me any testable predictions that intelligent design can make. Use intelligent design to discover something about the universe that we don't know yet. Go.
Come, we can work with statistics. Would you like?
Statistics. Discover something that we don't know yet. That's evidence. Use intelligent
We can make.
design to discover
We can
something
make.
that we don't know yet.
It's not necessary, Tom.
Yes, it is. That's what is necessary to count as evidence. If you don't have that, you have no evidence.
I think you have a faulty epistemological framework, Tom.
No,
because
that's just basic
you
science.
think
That's what science
because
works.
yes, but you think that you have only to rely on tests.
Yes, that is how you differentiate between
I
imagination
disagree.
and reality.
I
What do you mean you
disagree.
disagree? What do you mean you
I
disagree?
disagree. I think that a solid epistemological framework is based on science,
Yes.
philosophy, and theology. On three, I put it on three legs.
Teleology is begging the question.
We cannot make testable predictions in regards of events that occurred in the past. We
Yes,
cannot
can.
test.
Yes, we can.
We do not know the conditions, the atmospheric conditions, geological conditions on the early Earth. So we
Okay.
cannot reproduce what happened
We
in
don't
the
need
past.
to. We don't. So testable predictions don't need to be exact testable predictions of literally everything. We just need to make some predictions. So we can make predictions in our scientific.
So take 500,000 nucleotides.
No. That's an exact. We don't need exact predictions. We do not need that. We only need some predictions. So again, we can make some testable predictions. You can make no testable predictions. Our side has the evidence.
I told you, if you make 10,000 testable predictions and you have success in one and you have no success in all the others, where does that lead you?
That leaves you with a light bulb. As Thomas Edison said, there are 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. He only needed one right. He got the one right. You have a light bulb.
So in what case would you say that is best explained by intelligent design?
When you make testable predictions, that's how you do it. That's how you get evidence. Make testable predictions.
So how do you? Is it possible that intelligence created life?
Yes.
So how would you? What test would you propose to test that hypothesis?
It depends on the designer. So if there's a God or something, I could say, God, I pray to you, give me a gold brick, and if a gold brick appears in front of me, that's evidence of God.
So if he doesn't do it today in front of your eyes because he has reasons not to do it,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the predictions are. You have to make some predictions. That was just an example. You could pray for literally anything, and if it works, that's evidence. But if it doesn't work, and it fails every time,
and what happens when it doesn't work?
Then there's no evidence. Like you have to get it to
Exactly.
work to be.
So you have no evidence that the origin of life hypotheses or predictions work. They don't.
No, we do. We've proven the predictions on the scientific side do work. That's how we got RNA on clay.
You have an idea what it takes to make a first living minimal cell?
Yes.
You need to know that.
Great.
So
great. We don't need to know that. We need to make one testable prediction. We have made one testable prediction, RNA on clay. That got it right. You have made done.
You don't need just one testable prediction. That is as to say, oh, I can explain how to make a brick. That doesn't explain how you make the house.
Right. You don't need to make the house to be evidence. If we can explain the brick, that is evidence. That is support.
Well, you have
support.
you have maybe the evidence how you stick one brick to another. That doesn't explain how you made the house.
That's fine. So all we have is evidence of the brick. We have evidence of the brick. And we found that on a natural hypothesis. That's evidence for the natural hypothesis. Does it explain everything? No. But we have evidence of the brick. So we have evidence. Our side has evidence. You don't. You have none.
Tom, so you have a brick with four sides.
Yep.
Okay. To make a wall, a straight wall, you need to order the bricks in the right order to have a wall.
Right.
Finally, right? Okay.
Yes, and we don't know that. We don't know how to do that. But we do know how we got the brick. That's the evidence. We have the brick.
So we know by intelligence we can make a straight wall. Do it by chance. You can't.
No. That's again argument from ignorance. You can't say you can't do it. You would have to make testable prediction. You would have to say, given my hypothesis of intelligent design, I can make this testable prediction.
Listen, if you have a man to make a straight brick wall, and you have just random luck and chance, what is the better explanation?
The better explanation is the one that makes testable predictions. So far, the one that makes testable predictions is the random chance.
So you're making testable predictions.
Yes.
of the man making the brick wall and chance making the brick wall. Which of the two hypotheses or tests will be successful?
Well, so far the one with the random chance is the one that's successful, and the man has made no successful predictions.
You don't understand. You have a testable prediction. Let's suppose that you have no idea how a brick wall is made.
Right?
Okay,
Yep.
and you have two competing hypotheses,
Yep.
and you make a testable prediction. Leave it on the side that we know it already that man can do it.
Yep.
Forget that for a moment. So you have a testable prediction that man can take bricks and make a brick wall. And on the competing side, you have chance, unguided, random events making a brick wall. Which of the two explanations is more reasonable?
Whichever one makes the testable predictions that work, that's the one that's more
Both,
reasonable.
yes. And which one does work on the both predictions?
Uh, Only one works with predictions. Only one makes predictions.
No, you're making a prediction that one is that intelligence will be able to make a brick wall, and you have the second prediction that random unguided events will make the brick
No,
wall.
we both
Which
know
of
that's not a prediction. So a prediction is something we don't already know. We already know intelligence can make a brick wall. So to make a
forget
prediction,
that Tom, you have to forget that for a moment.
okay. So if we don't know anything can make a brick wall, and we say we make a prediction that intelligence can make a brick wall and that non-intelligence can make a brick wall, then we do an experiment and find out which one can work, and then whichever one
Which
gets
one works? Which one works?
Well, so far in biology,
Which one?
the random chance works.
No. Forget biology. We are talking about the brick wall now.
Well,
You have
remember, you said before we know anything, we don't know which one works. We have to do a
Yes.
test and find out which one
Yes.
works.
So you have you have at your disposal one mechanism which is intelligence, and on the other side, as opposing proposal, you have random unguided events to make that brick wall. Which one do you think is capable to make the brick wall?
Whichever one makes the predictions, whichever one works. That's the one.
Both do the prediction. You have a prediction that intelligence does it, and you have a prediction that random unguided events do
Right.
it. So which one of the two predictions do you think explains the make of the brick wall better?
Whichever one gets the predictions right. That's the thing.
And which one is it?
In biology, it's random chance.
No. I'm not talking about biology, Tom. I'm talking about the
Remember,
brick
you just said we have to assume we don't know what causes a brick wall. If we don't know what causes a
Yes.
brick wall, we have two hypotheses, both make predictions. Which one is better? Whichever one works. That's the
And
answer.
which works?
No, we have to assume we don't know that. Remember, you did the
Question.
very beginning. You said assume we don't know. Assume we don't know which works. Right?
After the tests are made, which one, in your view, do you think will work?
If we assume we don't know, you can't do that. You just do the test, and whichever one gets the result,
And
that's the
after
answer.
you did the test,
After
which
we
one
did
do
the
you
test,
think works?
biology got it right, intelligent design gets it wrong.
No. We are not talking about biology now, Tom. You are trying to sidestep.
We haven't done
Just
any.
an-
What other tests could you be talking about?
Just answer the question, please.
What?
You have two testable predictions. You don't know which works. One testable prediction is that intelligence will be able to make the brick wall. The second prediction is that random unguided events will make the brick wall. So you make the test. Which of the two hypotheses do you think is capable of making the brick wall?
They're both capable of making the brick wall.
Have you ever seen
It
random
doesn't make
unguided
a
events?
difference. It doesn't make a difference if I've seen anything. So they're both capable of making the brick wall.
How do you know? That's a baseless claim, Tom. You have never seen random rain, random wind, and so on making a brick wall, a straight wall. You have never seen that happening.
Because we've seen random processes produce brick walls.
never-
That's what we
you
do.
have never.
That's what the
show-
RNA claims.
show me.
We see
No,
the brick.
no. You're wrong,
Yep.
Tom.
Nope.
You have never seen a brick wall being made by random unguided occurrences.
That's exactly
We
what we
know,
see. That's
however,
exactly what we
we
see.
know.
So if we see random unguided
Do you have?
processes,
Do
put
you have
one
a?
brick
Do
next
you
to
have a?
another brick next to another brick, we can say, "Yep, this could make a house." That's reasonable.
Well, do you have a practical example that you can demonstrate that random chance can make a brick wall, a plain brick wall?
Like an actual brick wall, no, but we do have one for RNA and
No,
biology.
we are not talking about RNA. We are talking about the brick wall, Tom. Let me
Right. For
come
a
to
brick wall, we
biology
do not have any
afterward.
natural processes that can produce a brick wall.
Okay, can intelligence make a brick wall?
Yes, we have examples of that.
So, so great. So you have confirmed something very important,
For brick
Tom.
walls, yes.
Intelligence can make brick walls.
Yes.
Random unguided events can't do, or
No, no,
I
no.
won't
We
say
don't know.
can't
We
do.
don't know of any
It's
natural
very
process.
unlikely. You like it very unlikely. So I'll say random unguided events are extremely unlikely to make a brick wall.
Right. And so we have no.
Okay?
So if we put that into the context of the biology example, we have
No, I
no
want to go.
examples
No,
of
no, 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 no.
intelligence
I
ever
want
making
no, no, no.
biology.
I want to go a step further now.
Okay.
I want to go a step further now. If I'm asking you, let's make a testable prediction that intelligence will not only make a brick wall, but will make a house with all the things inside the house, with energy supply, with doors, with temperature regulation, and so forth. A house which is comfortable to live in. And then you have a second hypothesis
Right.
that
So if we
random
only have
unguided.
evidence, if we only have evidence of the designer producing the brick wall, then it's reasonable to produce the designer would be the house also.
Great. Okay. So let's put that analogy to cells. Okay.
Yep.
You said that clay can form
Yeah, we have no
RNA.
example of a designer ever doing anything in a cell ever. So that is, there's no evidence of designers doing things with cells. Next.
An analogy here.
Argument from
Listen,
analogy
if
doesn't
you
make sense. We have no example of
if
intelligence doing anything in a cell. We do
Tom,
we
listen.
do have examples of natural processes producing brick walls in cells. We do have that, so that's the better explanation. In cells, just like in your analogy, the test went the other way. So the natural processes, we have natural processes that produce things by chance in the cell. We have no examples of intelligence doing anything into a cell ever. So the better hypothesis is the natural one.
You don't need to have testable.
Yes, you do.
You do not need to have tests, Tom, to make meaningful conclusions and inferences.
No, yes, you
You
do.
can
That's
do.
the
You can.
conclusions and inferences are only meaningful if you can use them to make tests to show that they're not imaginary. Otherwise, they're
No,
just imaginary.
no. I
Yes,
disagree.
that's just science. You
That
have to
is.
show,
That is.
like,
You can use, Tom. You can use methodological materialism or
I never said
science.
anything about materialism. So again, no matter what ideology you use, naturalism, supernaturalism, God, whatever, you have to show whatever explanation you're using isn't imaginary. That's the first step in every single epistemology, in every single methodology. You have to show it's not imaginary. The only way we have to do that is testable predictions. If you can't make testable predictions, you can't show your explanation isn't imaginary. So we need the testable predictions.
Tom, historical events cannot
Yes,
be
it can.
tested.
Yes, it can.
You cannot reproduce the exact
You
conditions.
don't, no, you don't need
that
to reproduce the exact conditions ever. That's not what a testable prediction is. Testable predictions are not reproduce the exact conditions. You can never, ever reproduce the exact conditions of any scientific experiment. You can still make predictions. You don't need to make the exact prediction. That's not what it means.
So Tom, I predict that science will not be able to demonstrate that you can take 500,000 nucleotides and stick them together in the
Okay,
right
what
order
science won't
to bear.
do.
Let me finish, please. Listen, this is important, and if you
No,
understand
this
that,
isn't important
you will
because
understand
that's not
something
a
very
prediction. You
important.
can't predict what other people won't do. That's not a prediction. You need to predict what you will do, what your experiments will show.
Okay, I will take 500,000 nucleotides, 4 of them. Okay, I will put them in a test tube, and scramble them for 1 trillion years. And I will not have a meaningful informational, instructional blueprint to make the machines that are required in the cell to start a self-replicating cell.
Okay, that's
It's extremely unlikely that will happen statistically and in every sense that you can imagine. And
great.
science confirms that
No,
because
no,
they are
great.
trying
That's
for
evidence what
70
science
years.
won't do. That isn't evidence for what intelligent design shows us. So that's not evidence of intelligent design. You need to show what evidence intelligent design will do. So you need to predict something we don't know yet, and then
No,
show it with intelligent design. That's what a prediction is.
no.
Yes.
It, you have a basic fault in your reasoning in
No.
this point,
No,
Tom,
because you just threw
because
another argument from ignorance. You said science can't
we
do.
can
Okay.
we can make inferences based on what we see
You're not
already
making an
in
inference. You're
nature.
making a counter inference. You're saying this is something that won't happen. That's not evidence. If you want evidence of intelligent design, you need to use intelligent design like a scientific theory, make a prediction of some test we can do, confirm the test. You can't predict what won't happen. That doesn't matter. You have to predict what will happen. Use intelligent design to discover something we don't know about the world. Go.
I disagree with that burden of proof, Tom.
That's
I disagree.
disagree with
I
what?
disagree.
If you don't have
I
a way
disagree.
to show it's not imaginary,
I disagree with your basic epistemological methodology. The
which
burden
is
of proof
what?
that you try to attempt to find truth in regards of origins, that way that you try to get there is, in my view, faulty. It's not necessary to make testable predictions. And you as one of the things that you say is, oh, it must be something that has not been tested yet or that we don't know of yet. That's not necessary.
No, no, it is necessary. The
No,
first thing you need for any methodology to be not crap, you need some way to show it's not imaginary. You need some way to differentiate between what's imaginary and what's reasonable to believe. If you don't have that, you have a crap methodology. My methodology has that. I can show we have a reasonable belief and we can show which ones are imaginary and crap because one makes testable predictions and one doesn't. You don't. Your
Tom,
methodology has
I
no
Tom,
way to differentiate between
Tom,
imaginary and real.
the fact that God will not show up in front of
It
you
doesn't matter
and
what
them
the predictions are. You don't need to say God will make a gold brick. That's just an example. You need to make any predictions. Make any testable predictions that can tell us anything about the world we don't know yet. That will be evidence of your hypothesis. You can't make any for anything ever. Nothing in your hypothesis can ever make any predictions that'll show us anything about the world that we don't already know because it is imaginary. Like all of the ones that work will always be able to tell us something new about the world. If it doesn't do that, it's imaginary. It's just a made up post hoc, non-real explanation.
have we ever seen
That's
life
something we don't
coming?
see. What we don't see isn't evidence. You need to predict something we will see. Say,
So,
here is
so
intelligent design will predict something we don't know yet.
that's
Here's an
that's the
explanation.
point. That's the point, Tom. We don't see evolution at work. We don't see origin of life at
If
work. We don't see all these things. So all we can do is, I will give you an example. You go to a crime scene and you see there a man shot in the chest with a bullet in his chest, and then you call the investigator, and he has to find out what occurred. Okay? So you cannot test the event.
that's
What
because
you
we
have to
already know
do
that.
is,
So everything you've already listed, things we already know. You have to show something we don't already know yet.
no, no, listen. In case of the man shot down with the bullet in his chest, you don't know what happened. You have to find out what happened. And so what do? You use circumstantial evidence to come to reasonable conclusions.
Circumstantial evidence only works for things we've already seen. And so we haven't ever seen anything ever designed to sell. So that isn't an option.
No, no.
There's no gun. There's no body.
No,
There's just a cell and we don't know what
that
caused it.
that is a fault. We have never seen life coming from non-life either.
Yes, we don't know what caused
I,
the origin of life,
I,
but we do make testable predictions. One side makes testable predictions, one side doesn't. So the side that makes testable predictions wins, and that's my side.
That's faulty logic,
No,
Tom.
that's just evidence. Evidence is
That's
whichever one
logic.
makes testable predictions.
You
Ours
have
makes
no,
testable
you
predictions.
have no evidence that life can come from non-life.
Again, we
Period.
don't need to prove how life came from non-life. We just need to make testable predictions. Any testable predictions that are things we don't know yet, that we
We
can
are
learn
running
about
in
the world.
circles.
So when we
We
make a
are
prediction about
Tom,
RNA and
Tom,
it was discovered on clay, that's evidence for our side. Your
Tom.
evidence side has no
We
evidence.
are running in circles. I can make a testable prediction that next winter Santa Claus will appear and bring me presents.
Yes, and if that's
I
right,
can
then
make
your hypothesis is
and,
right.
it will never occur. Does that mean that because it doesn't occur that it's anyway right? That shall I stick to that anyway? That the Santa Claus exists, even if I have no evidence that he will ever appear, just because I made a testable prediction?
No, the testable predictions have to be confirmed for that to be evidence. It has to be confirmed. Our testable
It has
predictions are
never been
confirmed.
confirmed
We
that life is
already showed it. We don't need life on non-life. We don't care. We do not need to explain everything. We need to make one testable prediction and have it confirmed. RNA on clay was a testable prediction. It was confirmed. That's evidence for our side. Your side has no evidence.
so that means that life from non-life is possible because of that?
It means that the conclusion is reasonable. We don't have
No,
proof. We do have evidence.
no,
Yes, our side has
absolutely
evidence.
not.
Your side has no evidence. Our side is reasonable. That's what it means to be reasonable. So our side makes testable predictions. Those testable predictions are confirmed. Our side is reasonable. That's what it means to be reasonable.
I disagree with you, Tom. If you can, I told you already, if you can put one brick together to the other, eventually by a lucky accident, that doesn't mean that from that you go to a full house.
If we see a house and we have no idea how a house was made, and we have two hypotheses, one was it made by humans, one it was made by natural processes, and we look and we try to make predictions and see which one will happen, and we find that there are natural processes where bricks are laying on top of one another consistently, we can say, yep, it's probably done by natural processes. That's a reasonable.
And until then, you deny that intelligence is capable of doing it?
No, we've never seen any intelligence do it. We've only seen the natural processes do it.
Well, you have never seen someone, an intelligent being, building a house?
No, this again, we're going with the analogy here. So we've never seen anyone design a house. We just have a house.
Analogy is fine.
We have no
Analogy,
idea. Stop.
Analogy is fine.
So
Analogy is fine because
analogy,
when you have
your analogy was
let
we
me
don't
quote
know
you.
how a house was made. We have never seen a house being made. We just discover a house.
Tom, let
so
me quote
if
you,
we
Herschel.
discover a house and we want to know how it was made, we make predictions, natural processes or design. And if we discover natural processes building a brick wall, then the natural process is the reasonable conclusion. Intelligence would be a stupid conclusion because we have no evidence for it, but we do have evidence of natural processes.
You have never seen someone making a brick wall in the house?
No, in this analogy, we've never seen a house being made. It's something we don't know yet. We just discover a house.
But what in practical terms?
In practical terms, it doesn't matter because it's not practical. We've never seen a practical design of a DNA strand. So to make it an accurate analogy, we have no idea how the house was made. We just see a house, and we're trying to predict it. And guess what? The one in the biology that makes predictions is the natural processes. We see natural processes building a brick wall, so that's the reasonable conclusion.
Let me quote you from Herschel. If the analogy of two phenomena be very close and striking, while at the same time the cause of one is very obvious, it becomes scarcely possible to refuse to admit the action of an analogous cause in the other.
Yes, if we already know it, then it's not an analogy. You can't say we already know humans make houses because that's not analogous. So for the analogy to work, you have to say we discover a house, we have no idea how it makes it, and we have to make predictions. So we don't have a house. We don't know anything about how it's made, and we have two hypotheses. One is natural processes. One is it was done by a designer. And when we make the testable predictions, we discover that, oh, look, it's the natural processes that are putting the bricks together, not the intelligence. Then the only reasonable conclusion is it's the natural process, not intelligence. And that's exactly what we see in biology.
I think the contrary. If we only see intelligence making brick walls and houses, and we never observe
If we
random
already
unguided
know
events
it,
doing
that
it,
isn't evidence. So that's your false analogy. We already know it, not evidence.
Tom, if you, I just quoted you
No. You
that
don't
if you have,
understand the analogy. The analogy is we have to pick something we don't know. Say it could be natural processes, it could be intelligence. Both sides make predictions. Which predictions do we see? It's the natural process. The only predictions that have ever worked are the natural processes. So the only
okay,
reasonable conclusion is the natural processes. There are no predictions
so
made on the intelligent design side at
so
all.
is it possible that natural events build houses? Do you
If the
think so?
evidence shows it, yes.
And does evidence show it?
In the case of biology, yes.
No, I'm not talking
I don't
about
care about your
biology.
analogy is false because houses we know are built by humans. Is
Tom,
begging the
your
question.
reason,
Biology,
your
all of
reasoning,
the evidence is natural. There is no evidence for a man-made cell or an intelligence design cell at all. All of the evidence is natural.
that's just your assertion,
No,
Tom.
that's a
I
proof.
don't
We
buy
have
it.
proof for that.
No,
We make testable predictions.
no.
We see the processes being formed. Some of them, not all of them. We don't need all of them. And so we have the evidence. You have none.
I have the evidence that intelligence can build brick walls and
There are no
houses.
brick
I
walls
have
in the cell, so that doesn't help you.
well, the membrane is
Nope,
like
there's none. There's
brick
no
wall
evidence
of
that
a
intelligence
house.
can build a membrane.
Excuse me?
There's no evidence that intelligence can build a membrane in a cell. We have no evidence of that happening.
No? So let me ask you, what do you think emerged first? The membrane or the membrane proteins which are
I have no
required
idea which
for
came
having
first. I don't care. All I know is that one
well,
makes predictions. That's
you
our
should
side.
care. You should care, Tom.
I don't.
Your
I don't need to know.
methodology
Like
is
there are
wrong.
things we don't know. I don't need to know it. Like I don't need to know everything. That's not a thing in science. You don't need to know everything. There are things we don't know. That's fine.
Well, uh,
Like you keep saying, here's stuff you don't know, therefore God. That's an argument from ignorance.
no.
Yes,
You're
that's
wrong,
what you
Tom.
just said was, well,
You,
which came first? Like I don't need to know which came first. That's not
well,
evidence.
irreducible complexity is
Isn't a
evidence
thing.
of design.
Irreducible complexity is a made-up statistic that doesn't exist. It's like
It's
gobbledygook.
nonsense. That's nonsense which you are telling. Because science says that you need a minimal size, a
No,
minimal
science
number
doesn't
of.
say anything about intelligent
That's,
design. Intelligent
that's
design doesn't
it,
exist in science. There was a court case, Kitzmiller
Tom,
versus Dover, where they proved intelligent design is
bullshit.
completely made-up crap. It doesn't exist in science.
That's bullshit. Because
There's a court
even
case, Kitzmiller versus
even
Dover, where there is no intelligent design. So which part of that is bullcrap?
do you think there is a minimal number of parts required to make a self-replicating living cell? Yes or
Sure.
no? You just confirmed irreducible complexity.
No.
Of course you did.
No.
Yes,
Like
you did.
there's a minimum number of parts for everything.
No, well, that's the concept of
No,
irreducible
irreducible
complexity.
complexity is a specific theory in by Behe. It's not just that there is a minimum number of things. Like obviously there's a minimum number of things for everything. There's a minimum number of things to produce a proton. That is not irreducible complexity.
So if you take away just a subpart of ATP synthase proteins, you have no living cell.
Yes, that's fine. None of that's
so you
evidence of
just
intelligent
confirmed
design.
what I said. So that confirms irreducible complexity. You need a
No.
minimal number of parts to
Irreducible
have a
complexity
working
is a
living
specific theory.
self-replicating
It's
cell.
not just there's a minimum number. That is not what irreducible complexity is.
It is.
Literally everyone in every scientific field accepts that there is a minimum number of parts for things. Everyone. No one accepts intelligent design or irreducible complexity. Those are made up things.
Well, you just confirmed
No,
that
that's not irreducible complexity. Again,
It is.
everyone in science accepts there is a minimum number of pieces required to do anything. None of them accept irreducible complexity because
But
they're
that's
not
by
the same
definition.
thing.
That's by definition.
No, it's
the
not. That is not the definition of irreducible complexity. Irreducible
is.
complexity is a theory in biology by Behe, which is rejected by everyone in biology. The
Well, what
fact
does
that
it
there is
say?
a
What
minimum
does the
number of
theory-
pieces
what-
is
what-
not
what-
irreducible complexity.
What does the theory say?
It says there's a specific amount of things like that I forget which it was, the bacterial flagellum requires a specific number of things that cannot be produced naturally. That was essentially irreducible complexity, which was proven false. So we already have all the pieces being produced naturally for the bacterial flagellum. So it was proven false.
No. Irreducible complexity applies to every.
No, it doesn't.
Can I finish?
No, it doesn't. I mean, that one part of your statement was already wrong.
When you have a device with a specific function, okay,
Function doesn't matter. Like I could say a proton.
And you remove one of the parts which are essential for that device to work, and you cannot get to that by a stepwise, gradual, evolutionary manner, because the intermediate stages do not confer any function, then you have, by definition, an irreducible complex system. Now apply that to.
But that is false. So we already know that part is
by
false.
definition. That's by
No,
definition.
I agree. I agree that is the definition.
Means.
I agree that is the definition. The part that's false is when you say cannot be done by natural processes. That is the part that's
unlikely.
It's extremely unlikely means it's not possible. If anytime you say it's unlikely, it means it's possible automatically. So if you say it's unlikely, that means it's possible by definition. So anytime you say,
I go with what is more likely, Tom. What is more reasonable?
Right. And what is more likely?
And you go by and you say, well, whatever is likely, I go, even if it's extremely remotely possible, but I go with naturalism by any means and exclude intelligent design. That's not logical.
The only ones that are possible are the ones that make testable predictions. Doesn't matter how unlikely they are. If it makes testable predictions, that's evidence. Yours makes zero testable predictions. So mine is the only option. Mine is the only. It doesn't matter how unlikely it is. Mine is the only option because mine makes testable predictions.
Is it possible to test that intelligence can make a brick wall and a house?
Yes.
So I can make a prediction of intelligent design.
So do it for the cell. So do it for the cell and get evidence. Until you do that, you have no evidence.
Well, first of all, we do not have any evidence whatsoever on either side.
No, we do. I've already demonstrated this with the testable predictions that
Can you show it? Yeah, well, can you show it in front of your eyes how a cell forms by natural means?
No, I don't need to. Again, I do not need to explain everything.
I don't need to show it either by intelligence.
You keep failing by saying you have no evidence because you can't explain some things. I don't need to explain everything. I need to explain one thing. If I explain one thing, that's evidence. We explain things on our side. You explain zero things on your side. We have evidence. You don't.
No.
Yes.
You're wrong, Tom.
No, that's objectively proven. We've objectively proven that. We explain things on our side. You explain nothing. We have evidence. You have none.
My evidence is that I am capable of doing a brick wall and a house.
Brick walls are not cells, not evidence.
Well, a cell is a factory.
Not evidence. So demonstrate intelligence building a cell or go away.
Well, don't demonstrate natural unguided evidence constructing a cell or go away.
We actually do have evidence, not perfectly of the cell, but of some things.
No, we
so
don't.
If you have intelligence of designing something of the cell, that would be evidence. You have intelligence designing nothing of the cell. Well, we have natural processes designing parts of the cell, so we have evidence. You don't.
No, I disagree.
Even on your
Clay assertion, I dispute that. I'm not agreeing with you unless I see the paper and I read it, and then I will give an opinion on that. But you make the claim based on something that you read many years ago and which you cannot even formulate. So you are making assertions based on blind faith.
No,
and
that's
I am
wrong.
seeing you doing that all the
evidence
all
does something. Our hypothesis, the natural hypothesis, has made predictions, and they've been confirmed. Do they explain everything? No. Do they need to? No. Our side makes predictions, and those predictions can be confirmed. That's what evidence is. That's what the RNA paper proves. It makes predictions, and those predictions are confirmed. Does it matter what the predictions are? No. It doesn't at all. It means that they did something. Our hypothesis taught us something about the world before we knew it. So our hypothesis has evidence. Your hypothesis has told us nothing.
Is it even possible, Tom, that in your methodology there can be absence of evidence.
Absence of evidence just means we don't have something. We obviously have
Yes.
absence of lots of things. That is not evidence to the contrary.
Is it in your methodology possible that materialism is
Absence
self-falsified?
of evidence is not evidence of absence. Carl Sagan.
Well, I agree, but if there is evidence that something doesn't work, then that is evidence.
That is evidence that that one thing doesn't work. That is not evidence that
Yeah.
nothing of
So
the same
that-
type works.
So unguided evidence do
No.
not make brick walls, do
No,
not
that
make
means
houses,
that one experiment didn't
and
work. That's
do
all it
not
means.
make blueprints, and do not make instructional
wrong,
informations, because
wrong.
we have tested and tried to do it and we are unable
Wrong.
to do it.
So again, those are only evidence that
that's
all of
wrong.
the experiments we've done that haven't worked don't work. Is that evidence that no experiment could work? No, not at all. Again,
Well,
you're
but
confusing. You're
I know
slippery
that
slope fallacy.
intelligence can produce codes. Intelligence can produce
No.
information.
That's an argument from analogy. So again, demonstrate intelligence doing anything about the self. Show me
It's not
any intelligence.
necessary.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If you can make
you,
no
you are
testing
applying
predictions.
you are applying two different burden of proofs.
No, it's the exact same
On
burden
each-
of proof. The exact same.
No.
Testable predictions. That's all you need is to make testable predictions. We can do it. You can't. We have evidence. You don't.
I can do it.
Where?
I just
Where are the
told
testable
you,
predictions?
I can. You can test if I am able to make a brick wall,
You
a house.
you have to predict something we don't know yet. We know people make brick walls. Next, predict something we don't know yet.
So the prediction is confirmed.
No. To be a prediction,
It's
you have to
confirmed,
predict something
but
we don't know yet. If I predict the
your
sun
method-
is going to rise
Tom,
tomorrow,
your
that isn't evidence.
Your methodology is wrong, Tom, because
No, my methodology is correct.
we can work from what is known. We can start from what is known and then make inferences in regards of historical events.
Right, that's how phlogiston and every failed scientific theory works, is that you start with what is known, you make predictions, and then maybe those work. How do you confirm them? With testable predictions. If you can't make testable predictions, then it's just crap made up in your head. You have to make the testable predictions to show it's not just made up in your head.
Tom, you need to work on your epistemology.
No, my
It's
epistemology is fine.
simply-
Every
it's
single
okay.
scientific theory like phlogiston meets your criteria of looking at past data and making predictions off of that. It fails. Every single scientific theory that has ever been wrong fits your methodology.
Wrong. What has failed in science?
Phlogiston?
It cannot demonstrate anything by natural means. Anything.
We
even
already
your
did.
clay.
We already
even
did. RNA and clay.
even
We
your
already demonstrated
even your clay. No, I dispute it. I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
What do you disagree with?
Make,
Did
well,
we or did
I
we not
told
see
you-
RNA form on
I
clay?
told you, Tom. I don't operate like you. You make just baseless claims.
Did we or
I
did
back
we
up-
not see RNA
I
form
back-
on clay? Yes or
Tom,
no?
I back up my claims.
Did we or did we not
And
see
I
RNA
show
form
you
on
the
clay?
evidence. You don't. You just
Did
make
we
up something.
or
Say
did we not?
it has been confirmed,
Did
and
we
that's
or
it.
did we
And
not?
if I ask you how
I'm
has
still
it been
waiting. I'm still
confirmed,
waiting.
you cannot explain
I'm
it.
still waiting. Did it we or did we not see RNA form on clay? True or false?
I told you I will read the paper and then I will give you an answer based on what I did read. I
Fine,
don't
then
make
read
just
the
up
paper.
things.
Like we don't need. I've already read the paper. I already know that it says RNA formed on clay.
Yeah, you do. If you
Yes.
don't even know how to make RNA, what does that? What
I
does
don't
that,
need to know how RNA formed on clay. I need to
you
know what the
do.
paper says. The
If
paper
the
says
evidence
RNA
shows
formed on
it's
clay.
not possible by
I don't
natural
need to know
means,
physics
then-
to know that the physics paper says what the title says. Those are not the same thing. I can read the title of the paper, which says RNA formed on clay, and know that RNA formed on clay.
So you have blind faith in
No,
what scientists
I have
say.
faith in authority for scientists, which is perfectly fine. The paper
I-
specifically says
Yeah.
RNA formed on clay. Here's how
I
you
actually
reproduce it.
read the papers
That's
and
great.
make
That's
my mind
great.
up after I
That's great.
understand
All
the
of the
paper.
scientists
You
confirm it.
don't. You just believe what scientists say,
No,
Tom.
no,
And
I read the paper. The
that-
paper says that RNA formed on clay. The paper has been tested and reproduced, and RNA formed on clay. So that's tested. That's proof. That's scientific proof that we got that right.
I am happy to go over with you
I'm
on
not
it,
interested in
on
going over the paper
details.
with you. You can go and do that on your
I-
own. I already have the scientific evidence. So
Tom,
that doesn't
I
help
think I am exposing how you work on superficial
No, you're not exposing
claims
anything. You're
which
saying that
are
you don't
unable
want to
to
accept the
back up.
scientific paper. Like, I don't care if you want to accept the science or not. I accept the science.
Whatever. I mean, you take whatever is said in science at face value. I
No,
don't.
no, I take what science says when science can demonstrate it. You can demonstrate nothing. Science
Well,
demonstrates everything. That's what
I
science
told,
is.
I am very happy to go through
I'm
with
not
you
interested in going through the
on the.
paper with you. The paper has been
Oh,
gone through
so,
by the scientists. The
okay, fine.
scientists have the evidence. You don't.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. All right, Tom. All right. I don't have much more to say about that.
Good.
Would you like to? Would you like to discuss another topic?
No, I've already completely destroyed everything you said. I'm happy. I'm done with this.
Okay. All right. So I think our debate is over.
Yes, I think so
Is that
too.
okay?
Yes.
Okay, Tom. Thank you very much for permitting me to be on your channel to have this debate, and I am more than happy to give a look closer, or you can send me the paper on clay, and then I am very happy to discuss with you the details. If that is not of interest for you, that is fine too.
Okay. Yep. Thanks for coming on. It was an interesting conversation. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you.